books in the bag. We've got coffee in hand, laptops ready, we're making a plan. Books in the bag, ideas to flow. Steph and Joe are on the go, go, go. Sharing what we know from the classroom to the show. It's Steph and Joe on the go. Innovation, education, moving fast with dedication. Come along, let's start the flow. It's Steph and Joe on the go.
Did it play the sound?
It did. Yep. It was. It was my favorite intro in the world. Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, I might need to cut it because I could not hear any of it.
Oh no! Yeah, it played perfectly. So we
perfect. So we'll just cut this part off.
Yes. No worries. We can definitely do that.
All right. So welcome to Steph and Joe on the go. We're going to be talking about summer PD. Is that a yay or nay for you, Joe?
It's both. Well, I don't want to say both. To me, summer PD is very important. Making sure that it's something that teachers are wanting to do, not feel like they are. What is that fun word? Voluntold. We don't want teachers to feel like they're voluntold they have to go. So, what do we do, Steph, when we know we have some really great professional development that we can present at our own district sites, but you want to get teachers excited and willing to go to that PD? That's what I want to talk about today. How do you structure it? How do you entice people to attend? What are some strategies we can do to just build up that excitement, to be able to share out what your own district is doing and get your own staff members to attend that district PD over the summer? That's the key, though, over the summer when everybody's supposed to be on break. What about you, Steph? When you were in a district, when you were in the classroom, what would it take for you to attend a summer PD at your own district? What would it take for that to happen?
See, I was that person that was that self-learner already. Like, I always love learning, and I would sign up for things, and if I couldn't make it, I would try to catch the recording. And
Yep.
so where I struggle is with the people that aren't like me, that aren't as excited as I might be about a new strategy, or they might feel a little bit more hesitant towards professional learning.
Yeah, no, I can see that because, you do have those subsets of educators, right? You have those early adopters who see something that they like and they put forth their own effort to investigate it and see if it's worth integrating into their classroom infrastructure. Then you have those fence sitters who are like, I know about this, but I'm not going to quite do anything until I see what other people are doing. And then you have those resistors who are like, nope, not going to do it. I'm not going to spend my own time on this. I'm only going to do it if the district makes me and pays me. So yeah, you have those different subsets of educators in your district. How do you get all of them to be like, this is important, let's do it? Like, how do you create that buzz to get people to want to go to your professional development over the summer? That is what I'm looking for, because here's the amazing thing. It feels like all the stars are aligning with our team here in my district, where we presented on AI, of course, right? That's the huge topic everybody's talking about. We presented to district leadership, and the result was, we thought it was going to be like, oh, that's neat. We'll see what we can do. But it was, oh my goodness, this is absolutely important. How can we get every teacher at least baseline trained by the end of 25, 26? And we were just like, that is amazing. That's the most amazing comment we've ever heard from district leadership, saying that they are fully on board with this mission. And then we looked at each other, goes, but how do we get teachers to come? Right? This isn't Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. This is the, oh my goodness, how can we get this excitement built to where they are chomping at the bit to attend our PD, not feel like they're being forced to go through this PD? That's why when we were talking about what topics can we talk about, I'm like, oh, this is a great one for me because I need advice. And Steph, you're one of the best people to give advice, and our listeners are some of the most innovative educators out there. I really want to hear from everybody. How can we build excitement for this topic that I know is incredibly important? But as you were saying, some people, it might not be that important to them. How do we get them to want to attend like summer PD? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I was on a call yesterday with a lady in a pretty large school district, and I'm not going to mention it because I didn't get her permission of where, but it was really interesting when I was talking to her about summer PD. The one thing she said is, what experience will these teachers get to kind of create that FOMO for other teachers that didn't sign up? So then they would want to sign up next summer or, later in the year if we were to offer this again. And I thought that was so interesting because when I think about PD experiences that I have like really resonated with, it's going to the Google office, right? It's that experience of when you are a Google innovator, you fly all the way to, I went to Sydney, Australia, and I was at a Google office. I was eating the Google food. I was around these educators that were also probably, like you said, ready to innovate in that line of innovation. And it was the atmosphere and it was the experience for me that really kind of drew me more to want to go to more Google events or wanted to continue to learn. And so when I was talking to her, I was like, thinking about, Cami, I was like, okay, we're going to get level 1, level 2 certified. They're going to get a badge. And then I was like, okay, we'll do the Cami trainer certification. And we're going to do a whole graduation ceremony where they have like the afternoon. It's just going to be like a party, is like what I was kind of thinking there. But I'm like, are we creating those experiences? And I just loved how she kind of thought of that because I've never really put my mind into that. What experience am I creating for the user or the educators or the people joining?
Yeah, those experiences last for, the memories of those experiences last forever. And I'm kind of like you, Steph. Some of my most memorable PD experiences are the travel ones. And so I ask myself, is it the travel that I remember and makes me excited? Or was it the actual PD we were getting when we were together in that room talking? And I have to be honest, I think it was the after hours discussions. I think that really makes that memorable, right?
Yeah.
So if the travel, if the distance, if that experience is what perks people up, how do you create that excitement or that memorable experience when you don't have to travel? I am at that point in my career where you as well. We've traveled all over the world, and we've got to speak with so many great educators. But I am in the mindset now but I want to make a difference in my home community. I want to make a difference in my home district. I want to make a difference where I live. And so for me, that travel right now is off the table because I want to do it locally. And we want to make that travel experience for our local educators in our district. So I'm trying to think that same thing. What can we do to create that? So yeah, I am also thinking about a badge, right? We were thinking maybe an AIE, an artificial intelligence expert, where you would get a badge for your laptop, a window cling for your classroom, and even a T-shirt at the end of the PD. But and then of course a stipend. Every day you attend, you get a very nice stipend. But how do we get the excitement of that Google Innovator Academy, where the meeting the people and chatting with the people are just as important as the information that you're passing down? I think it can happen, but oh man, it's so hard to come up with a plan to make that happen.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's great to be able to chat about this, because you've been to many PDs, I've been to many PDs, but what makes a PD special? Is it the travel? Is it the content? Is it the connections? And if the answer is yes, then how do you do it without the travel portion? It's so I'm trying to think of how do we make this important professional development experience memorable and exciting to where they go, hey, y'all, this was great. You got to attend it. How do we do that? That's my big burning question.
Yeah, and I think too with travel, we have the opportunity to not be distracted. Like I know when I go to conferences that are not in my hometown or, in my district or wherever close, I'm more focused. I'm more available, I feel like, to learn. And so I like how you're just like, okay, how do we bring this? Because we can't travel with 30 staff members or 50 or 100 or 70 thousand. We can't travel, we can't pay those fees. So I think it's huge to think about how can we bring this here. And I think too it's creating that atmosphere. I have a friend that is doing like a museum type of feel, and like his teachers are going to earn, I think, so much money. So if they complete different tasks, I think we kind of talked about this last week, Joe, when we were talking about that choice board with, different points. So teachers will complete different activities and earn so much points. And they're going to be able to use those points or the money that they gain in the museum. In their museum, they're going to have different prizes, maybe gift cards, maybe swag from companies. So different things like that for the teachers to buy their their funds on, which I thought was kind of a unique and fun idea as well.
Yeah, yeah, like again, it's like that the company store, right? They earn these credits, they earn this money, and then they can use it to buy stuff for their classroom or their profession. I do like that. And the great thing about right now, as we are planning this summer PD, everything's on the table. And I love it. The district is giving so much support because they see the need for this. And so they're like, you know what, whatever you need, let us know. We will put it into the budget. So I'm really excited. But I've never been a part of a PD process like this, where it's like, you know what, you tell us what you need and we'll make a budget for it. That's amazing to me. Usually it's, this is your budget, stay within it, you know? So this is kind of new ground for me, not having, kind of that limit. Not going crazy, of course, but like, ooh, what can we do? And then what experiences can we create? And I come from a background of, avid training and, technological innovation, that kind of stuff. And so I go, maybe small groups, maybe breakouts, like physical breakouts where you go like, hey, we have 5 different tools that we want to share with you. You pick your favorite and then jump in with a group of educators who also think that's their favorite and start ideating on how you can transform your classroom with it. Maybe little small breakout cohorts of tools, and that would be, of course, like day 3 or day 4, definitely not day 1 or 2. That could be cool. Or if our teachers can't travel, do we have partners at these companies that we are using these tools of theirs? Do we have partners that are willing to travel to our location and give a presentation for them? Like, a School AI or Diffit or Snorkel. Are these companies like, you know what? Yes, you have an all summer AIPD. We want to be a part of it. I think that can kind of build excitement, or maybe I'm just excited because I love those people. What? I don't know. It's just it's opening because it feels like at the moment, sky's the limit on how we can put this together. But I've never had a sky's the limit opportunity before. So everything's on the table, and I'm willing to take all the pieces of advice that I possibly can get.
Yeah, and I think too, it's important to think about the drawbacks, like you kind of mentioned earlier, with the different levels of people, and some are quick to innovate, some are more slower. But I think with school districts, right, it's that attendance. We really struggle with getting people to want to come. And I think sometimes for educators, those drawbacks are like their burnout, lack of personal time during that school year. And so now they're like, I finally get a break. I can relax. I don't want to learn. Sometimes there are financial constraints where we're like, you're going to do this with no pay, or it's very low paid salary that they might get to do those trainings. Another thing is like family commitments that they might already have, like a vacation, or they might watch their kids over the summer. So that can be even like something that might be a barrier. Also, I think people have been burnt by PD. They think it's going to be irrelevant or low quality PD just because of a past experience. And so again, it can be a lot of different things. So I think it's important to kind of think about, why are teachers so against summer PD?
Yeah, those are some great points. Like, educators who are burnt out after 9 months of teaching, they want those 2.5 months of just decompression. I don't even want to see this stuff. I'm going to just go into my own summer world. I completely understand that, which is why I'm very adamant about, like, if we do a summer cohort, we also have to have smaller cohorts during the school year, during school time. Okay, this wouldn't be like, hey, do you want to come from 3 to 5 after you've already done your job? This would be like, hey, we'll get you a sub. You can come out and we can do these during your time. That's very important to me as well. But one thing that I really, really, really have always emphasized, even when I traveled to a district to do PD, is I would call people out and say, like, you know what? John over here is an amazing educator who knows how to do this stuff. So, like, when I leave, you have John here to ask questions. You have experts in your district. And I think districts need to elevate their local heroes, their local PD people, and say, like, we don't need to invite somebody from outside the district. We have amazing educators who can do this PD for us. So I think making sure that districts know that they have, talent within their ranks to be able to put on a high quality, effective, and, let's face it, entertaining PD. I think that's important for districts to understand. And that's the really cool thing right now is my district is doing that. They see the power in our TOSA group. They see the power in our educators. And they're like, you know what? Why should we pay $3,000 to fly this one person out when we can give that money, or at least portions of that money, to a group of educators on our staff who are willing to share and will be around year round? What I never want to say, and some listeners are like, ooh, I don't like the way he worded that. What I never want to say is that our local educators are not worth as much as, traveling, PD partners. Mm-hmm. I never want to say that. So, maybe you pay your local people a little bit less because there's no travel involved, but you still need to pay them, right? You still need to pay for their time. I think all educators need to be compensated for any extra time they are putting outside of their contracted hours. I'm 100% on board with that. But we definitely need to start tapping our local talent to showcase, like, you know what? We have innovators within our ranks, and they're going to help us all become innovators as well. That is my vision with all of this. So I love all the things that you brought up. And I also love the fact that, part of this PD process, there is a stipend. Every day you attend, there is a stipend. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
What about this thought too? So my thought was, we're going to have 5 different half-day sessions. And each session is going to have a different facet of AI use and strategy. But, if you join this cohort, we want you to attend all 5, but we're going to pay, instead of a full-on 5-day stipend, you're going to get a daily stipend. So if you only attend 3, you get 3 days of your stipend. If you attend all 5, you get 5 days of your stipend. Do you think that kind of helps educators feel like, oh, okay, I can sign up for this, and if I miss one, I'm not at risk of losing my entire stipend? What are your thoughts on that, kind of breaking it up and kind of giving that option? Do you think it's going to create kind of a better experience because they don't feel like they have to attend all 5? Or do you think it's going to be a worse experience because you're going to have people go, oh, I really only have to choose 3 days. I can take 2 of those days off and still be okay. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. So when I was working with a couple of different districts, they're like, they don't get paid until they complete the course or the activities that need to be done. So I think it's really important to decide and communicate those expectations and be clear about it. So I kind of like the idea of, you don't get it until you do this, this, and this. There might be some extra, articles or resources in the course to support you, but you have to do this, this, and this in order to show that you have learned the material. And I kind of like the idea of some type of like portfolio or reflection or lesson sharing, because then they're taking what they've learned and they're doing something with it. But again, it kind of maybe depends on the district.
Yeah, I do like those expectations. So my idea for this summer program, and listeners, please provide any feedback you possibly can. My idea here is that we're gonna put out feelers to all the area principals, and we're gonna ask them to see if they have at least one person on their campus who is interested in attending this PD, right? And so our hope is we get one person from every school site, from every campus. And those individuals will be completely trained up on the depth and breadth of what AI is, how to use it, and the different strategies of prompt engineering, and then a couple tools you can use that can enhance your prompt engineering. The idea is they become their campus experts, their AI experts. So if anybody on their campus has any questions, they are somebody that they can go to and ask those simple questions. And if they can't answer them, of course, they would then pass that along to their assigned TOSA. But just like you said, an expectation would be maybe every quarter, we get the group back together and talk about, hey, what are you implementing? What wins do you have? What struggles do you have? Can you share some of the things you've been doing? And then kind of continuously share out throughout the year to see what's happening. What do you think about that kind of extended thing? Do you think that would put a burden on people's plates? Like, oh, I thought this was just a summer thing. We have to continue this throughout the year? Or do you think that's beneficial, where they're like, okay, we get to share out throughout the year, so we still have this cohort group that is connected and continuing to stay connected throughout the year? What are your thoughts on that?
So one thing that you said before I dive into that question is you said reach out to the principal. And I think we were Marco Poloing about this. I don't think it was on a podcast episode, but I could be wrong. But you were talking, I think it was Marco Polo, and we were talking about how, how do we get buildings excited and get teachers on board? And one thing that you did that I wish I would have done as a coach, I did not do this, was reach out to the principals. Hey, from district office, here's our idea. And then sharing it with the principals kind of first before just sending a bulk email out to everybody of like all the PD offerings. Because I think if you can get them on board and you can get them to promote it and you can get them to find that one teacher, there's more ownership now in that school, in that building that you're trying to support as well. So I think that was a Marco Polo that we were talking about that, but I don't know if you can just briefly talk a little bit more about what you do there, because I just was like, that's genius. I wish I would have done that a lot more.
Well, yeah, like you can always ask people to do something with you, but you know what? Why put feelers out when you can reach out to the leadership and they probably have 5 educators they would recommend. Oh, you know what? These 5 would be perfect for that. Let me talk to them, see who's interested, and then I'll send you a couple names of people who are, who I think are not only interested, but they would fit perfectly in this group because they know their staff. Every district has a different culture. We know that by traveling around and seeing every district. But what we forget is every school site also has its own individual culture. And who better to understand that culture than people who are there every single day? And that is going to be your school site principals or school site, vice principals, whatever they're called, wherever you are. They're called many different things, not just vice principals. But that is why it's important that we reach out to leadership. But also, it's important so that they know what's going on, right? It no longer becomes just an email that one of their staff members replies to. They go to this training and then they come back to their school and their principal has no idea what's going on. Keeping the principals in the loop, I think, enhances any initiative that you have. Because when you have buy-in from leadership, you should start getting buy-in from staff, or at least staff is continually told about these initiatives from their site principal level, instead of just getting some random email from a district employee they probably don't have a relationship with, right? Mm-hmm. And as we've talked about, education is all about relationships building, right? Teachers building relationships with their students, but also principals building relationships with their staff. I would love to have district building relationship with staff as well. So I think this is kind of that wholly rounded idea of getting everybody on board and everybody to understand where we're going with this. Because we've said this before, Steph, AI is here. AI is not going away. And the strategy of just blocking it is not going to fly. So how do you create a culture of understanding of how to properly use these tools with students, and then also how to properly use these tools for your own growth? And I think it's important that everybody gets on board with a base level understanding. So that's why, not only is a cohort of educators important, but a cohort of administrators, that's also important. It's a wholly rounded initiative. And we've talked about that, right? Initiative fatigue. Why do initiatives fail? I think if you're only having one group kind of pushing an initiative, it's going to fail. If you have everybody in the district on board, both classified and certificated, I think you see a much higher likelihood of acceptance and adoption than if you focus on a smaller group of individuals. But you do have to start somewhere. That's why we're thinking of this summer cohort to almost become like our evangelists. I don't know if you want to say it like that, but to just crack open the AI egg and show them what's inside. And maybe they weren't excited about it before, but hopefully after the cohort, they become super excited about it. And when teachers become excited, we know they can't stop talking about it, because I know I can't. So that we hope that starts building buzz for future cohorts as well. So that's my idea of getting administrators on board. They know the educators, they know the initiative, then they can support throughout the year instead of just, saying, oh, this is a district initiative, the district will support it. It's a whole rounded initiative. So is that kind of what you're getting at about how we connect with our site level administrators?
Yeah, and I love your idea of having a cohort with them. And I think too, it depends on the professional learning, but if you're offering it during the summer, it's probably really important, right? Like sometimes I think it's so important. Now, sometimes we do professional learning for college credits. However, it still should be around those initiatives that we're hoping to continue throughout the school year. And so I love the idea of a cohort. I think it makes people feel like they have a community to support them. And then again, if you can get that principal involved, they might say, okay, I've got 10 minutes in this staff meeting. Can you share the update? Can you share what you've been working on? Or finding those leaders that can share within their teams. I think that is going to grow and build capacity. So again, it kind of probably depends on what the PD is about, but I feel like it should be aligned because PD time is so limited that usually we do want to make sure it's aligned. However, sometimes you might just do like quick tips and tricks that come with, technology. But I think like we're getting to that point where PD is very aligned. So then if that's the case, then yes, a cohort is for sure needed.
Yeah, and I if you're gonna put on a summer cohort, right, you got to give it that summer vibe as well. So maybe providing breakfast as they show up, coffee and I don't know about you, but here in the Central Valley, breakfast burritos are the good to go morning breakfast treat for educators. But having if you start at 8 a.m., having coffee and breakfast burritos ready for them so that they can come and feel like they're being treated well. Or if it's midday, between 10 to 2, providing a lunch break with them. And there's something that we always forget to do during PD because sometimes we feel rushed. That is very important, and that is a debrief, right? If you have 4 hours with your staff and you present to them for the entire 4 hours, you're not allowing that debrief to happen. And so being intentional of setting at least a half an hour at the end of any PD to ask questions of the audience. Hey, what are questions you still have? What are concerns you still have? What are misconceptions you want to be able to have us cover again? I think that's incredibly important. So I'm going to ensure that we, embed that space for voice throughout. But I really want to make sure people understand that our style of PD is collaborative. And it's about creating ideas and a space for those ideas to flourish, not making demands, I think, of saying you have to do it this way. I think that's kind of the culture we definitely want to start off with. But yeah, it's getting, butts in the seat, getting people wanting to be there, not feeling like they're told to be there, because then you have people with arms crossed and you're just there because they're told. And we don't want that. We want to build excitement. So, oh man, I'm trying to think. Do we create a flyer? Do we? I know definitely we have to create expectations. Like by going through here, this is what you can expect, and this is what we kind of expect from you throughout the year. That is a definitely important thing. But oh man, I'm just so excited. You know, I'm so excited about having this opportunity to put this together locally. I'm excited about the opportunities we're going to be laying out for our educators. And I am absolutely excited that district leadership saw this and is like, oh my goodness, we never knew the depth and breadth of what AI can do for our teachers and students. We need to get on board with this right now. And it's not slow walking it. They're like, we are pushing this through, but intentionally. So all of our teachers have a baseline understanding of what it is, and then they can choose to make their own decisions on how to use it. I think that's important. So I'm excited, I'm scared all at the same time.
Yeah. And so I think for our listeners, just kind of reflect and think about what has been your experience with summer PD. What are some of the maybe best tips that you can give Joe and myself for the benefits of summer PD and what you've done to make it successful? And then if you do offer PD over the summer, or if you attended PD, what's been your experience, and what would you suggest if we were to do an event? Like, what kind of PD do you think is the best way to roll it out that you've attended? And we would love to see, I like links. I like tangible resources. So if you have resources, links related to this, please let us know, because I would love to see what you're doing.
Yeah, sharing is caring. And I do have to say, Steph, you have created something. You've created a sharing structure that is incredibly valuable, or maybe I should say invaluable, because it's so valuable to the education community. And that is your Be Gold kind of initiative. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because maybe our listeners don't know you have this, and there's a great mailing group, and I get so many ideas coming through my email inbox because I see educators chatting and asking questions and sharing resources. Is that something you'd be willing to chat about just really quick to let people know that that's available to them?
Yeah, so we have a Gold EDU Google group. And so Google Groups allows you to choose how you want your inbox to be filled with the emails. I would say, wasn't it like Monday? I think there was like a ton of emails coming through, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. But some days it's quieter, some days it is busier. So if you're like, these emails are driving me crazy, know that you can set up a summary. But it's just a group of just educators, teachers, coaches, librarians, counselors, tons of different people. And so I will post those 3 questions in the group. And again, I would love for you to respond in the group, because I think we have a lot to share when it comes to those resources. So in our show notes, I'll put the link to join. It's really easy. You just need a Gmail account and you go to the group and hit join, and then you're in. And then you can email if you have questions. You just email hello@goldedu.org. Or if you have a question that comes into your inbox from another community member, then you can respond to them with the answer. Or you can be a lurker and you can just get the resources. So yeah, I will share that resource in the show notes. But we would love for you to join, because it's a great community of just educators sharing all of the different resources and ideas that they have to make education even better.
Yeah, it is a Twitter 2014 vibe, I have to say. Social media now is just, it's a crapshoot. You don't know what you're going to get on any given day. But I do know when I click on my email inbox, all of the Gold EDU stuff is, well, I don't want to have a pun, but is golden. It is like the golden age of social media, back before toxicity entered the picture. So I love it. I think you're doing fantastic work with that group, Steph, and I appreciate you showing it to me so I can join and get those amazing ideas and resources that are posted every single day.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so again, we talked about some of the cases for summer PD, some reasons why teachers or educators might be against it, And hopefully we shared some strategies with you that you're able to kind of implement or think about as you're planning this PD. So again, if you have those ideas, add them to the Google group or let us know, because we are going to adapt, use, and steal your resources for sure.
Absolutely. You can count on that.
But yeah, I do think, and just one thing I do want to mention is it is important, because this is not me. I am that like go, go, go type of person. I always have a to-do list, love being busy. But for me as a coach, it was important for me to remember that I needed to balance professional growth with personal well-being. Teachers do need some time off in the summer, some more than others. And so I think it's just really important to remember that and to respect that as well. I know that, again, it's really hard for me. I did not do a very great job at that. I'm like, well, why aren't you signing up? Like, why do you need a break? So again, just offering, that time of thinking about, if you're making a course and it's all summer long, maybe giving them a week or two off, or, saying, okay, I just want you to work on this Thursdays for an hour. Like, be considerate about how much time the PD is going to take.
No, absolutely. It's so funny. As you get older, you make realizations in your life. And to me, I used to put job above everything else. Now it's family, self, then my job. I want to come home and make sure my family knows that I'm there 100% for them, and I will not touch work. I want to make sure, number two, that my self-identity it remains intact, because I think I lost that for a little bit, who I was, because I put my job first. And I think people need to remember that, right? Family, self, then job. Never put anything above anything else. So that is a very great piece of advice, Stephanie, to just be reminded of, when putting on PD, you're putting on PD of people who have a family and who have a life during the summer. And if they can't do it, it's not a knock on your PD. It's an enhancement of them trying to be the better self that they deserve to have. And we have to be okay with that.
Yeah. And again, I was not great at it, so it's okay to. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. And again, just let us know any resources or ideas you have for summer PD.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate you. And I'm sure your school community appreciates you as well. So have yourselves a wonderful week. And as always, Steph and Joe are always on the go, but we're on the go thinking about you. So thanks, everybody.